What's up? It's Jeremy Picker from Amber Creative.
This is Deanna with In the Zoning and Print Girl Mafia.
This is Ray Weiss with Printing the Night of the Lion.
You're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by Terry Combs RG, Regular Guys, and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Fashion to the people. All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, June 13th, 2025. Hey, Aaron, it's your favorite day, Friday the 13th.
Yep, non-triskaidekaphobia day if you're counting at home.
I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery with our Success Group and American Print and Supply. And this week we've got an awesome guest. We just got to meet him backstage, but I've known Heat Press Nation for a long time. Great company. And Jared is going to be joining us today because I don't know if this is actually rumors going around, but, you know, there's kind of this undertone that, you know, is Sublimation dead, right? You have one of the bigger distributors go out of business. And so I think that kind of brought up that conversation, but we've got all these other amazing distributors out there like Heat Press Nation. So we want to talk to him about that, the other technologies, what's happening in that digital print, heat printing world out there. So hopefully we'll dispel that myth today. Terry, is Sublimation dead?
Yeah, you know, once people actually learn how to say it, it can't be dead. I mean...
That's right. We never wrote that book, Terry, the different ways to say sublimation. But,
exactly. Well, make sure you stay tuned till the very end. Aaron's going to be bringing the secret sauce this week, sharing 3 common mistakes that businesses make and what to do instead. So even if you're not a new business, these 3 tips can be great for you to get a new perspective for your business.
Absolutely. I'm excited to share that, Terry. So yeah, do make sure you stay all the way till the end for that. Speaking of all the way to the end, man, I think we're still on a high. I know I'm a little bit still on a high from the amazing event that we got to be part of this last Tuesday of the week called Why It Matters Live, the Sustainability Merch Summit. But Terry, you want to give everybody just a quick recap of that?
Yeah, it was sponsored by Branded Merch Network, ASI, Apparelist, and we're going to be talking to Cassie here in just a minute, and the Two Regular Guys podcast. And fantastic, 2 hours, jam-packed with incredible information about sustainability. And man, everybody that I've talked to absolutely loved it. We've had hundreds of people go on and listen to it again while it lasts on YouTube until it finds its permanent home. But tremendous event, Aaron. And you did double duty because you and I were interspersed throughout the event, kind of recapping what was going on, that sort of thing. And you were being the producer because our good friend Eric Campbell was still on the move. So
you had the longest move in history. Absolutely. It was a great event. And but boy, you know, Cassie and Teresa and Jay all hosting those live panels with amazing panelists, the discussion. You know, there were over 150 people in the live session that were, you know, commenting, sharing, going, yeah. I mean, it just felt like there was a real movement. Not that it was created, but I felt like it was really cool to be part of at least moving that conversation forward, right?
Right. And as of the next day, 400 people had gone to YouTube and watched the recording of it. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, it's been so cool to watch how much Teresa and Cassie have, you know, I've always talked about how Cassie, she'll have to give us her sustainability name, but she's just carried that flag so much. We've been so appreciative to have her on the show talking about stuff like that with her and Gary Jones and other iterations. And so to see that take that next step was really cool. And the fact that we got to be part of it was awesome. So absolutely. Yeah, we'll move on, but stay tuned for more. You know, it's like, okay, what's next? I think everybody was so excited, like, you know, what's next? So looking forward to that. But speaking of Cassie, Terry, we've got the news to bring you today. And Cassie is, I feel like we're just monopolizing all of her time. Like, hey, here's another Two Regular Guys link. Cassie, come join us. But she always
says yes.
Yeah, you did say yes. So let's get Cassie in here, Terry.
Yeah, I'll never say no to Aaron and Terry ever because I love being a part of the show. Love what the Two Regular Guys does. Yeah, the Sustainable Merch Summit was unbelievable because sustainability is a personal passion of mine, but I also see like a real movement in the industry to make a change. All right, I guess since Terry promised it, here's my sustainability superhero name is Sustainable Sally. It's what my husband calls me around the house because I also force my sustainability beliefs upon my husband and children. So if you ever see me out in the wild, you're feel free to address me by Sustainable Sally. But that's not what we're here for. Here to read a few news headlines for everybody this beautiful Friday. First headline I have to share with everybody, in case you missed it, Hanes names SNS Activewear the exclusive distributor in North America. So SNS Activewear and Hanes brands announced an agreement that makes SNS the exclusive distributor of the Hanes brand in the North American printwear channel. This announcement came shortly after correspondence from SNS that they have completed the customer and website integration with Alpha Broder and are moving forward under the SNS name and structure. So with this exclusive partnership, SNS will not only carry the full range of Hanes styles, but will also offer deeper inventory positions and enhanced availability across its national distribution network. So for right now, customers may continue to purchase Hanes products from other distributors through the transition period. The partnership will be fully operational by December 31st of this year. Second headline I have for everybody, World Emblem signs lease to open new factory in the Dominican Republic. So World Emblem announced it has signed a long-term lease for the new factory located in Santiago de los Caballeros in the Dominican. Construction of the approximately 100,000 square foot plant is scheduled to begin this month and be completed by early 2026. So approximately 100 employees will be hired to work at the facility to start, with 500 jobs created in total. And then finally, this headline, cyber attack incident compromises North Face customer data. So there's two reasons why I'm sharing this morning, but first let's talk about the actual headline. So about 1,500 users of the North Face brand's website were impacted after a cyber attack on the company that happened in April. The attack, which was confirmed by the company to Fashion Dive, which is another publication in the industry, compromised customers' email and shipping addresses, names, dates of birth, and telephone numbers. And that's according to a consumer notice letter posted by the Attorney General of Vermont's office. A spokesperson of the company reports that an investigation found no credit card information was compromised. So first big reason I wanted to share this headline is we are seeing more and more cyber attacks on companies throughout the industry. So a lot of people think that cyber hackers are attacking big companies. That's not necessarily true. We're actually seeing a shift where they're starting to attack smaller companies. So it highlights the importance of cybersecurity, even for apparel decorators, which is point number 2 why I wanted to share this headline, is you need to do your due diligence and really pay attention. So if you're looking for some cybersecurity tips, I've done a couple podcasts with the folks at Clients First Business Solutions where we discuss ways that you can protect yourselves. So definitely, pay attention. It is an important topic. Aaron and Terry, back to you guys.
All right, Terry. Well, that was great. Thanks to Cassie for delivering that news and really good information there too, as she shared at the end. Right, obviously she's got the news, but then also bringing just a practical tip for all of our listeners out there. Be aware of that. Let's be on the lookout. Head over to apparelist.com and you can search up cybersecurity. I'm sure you can find it there, or reach out to Cassie and I'm sure she'll point you in the right direction. But yeah, so appreciate that. And then also wanted to appreciate Cassie because, her sustainability name, Sustainable Sally, I love that because it also comes with the story that she's not only just talking about this, she's actually living it at home. So
Right.
very much.
Hey, and if we need anybody to go to the grand opening, report live for World Emblem in Dominican, I'm willing to go and be there for the ribbon cutting.
There you go. All right. Well, we'll see who's going to foot that bill to get you down there, and yeah, we'll we'll reach out. So live now, you'll have to do your own producing, though. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
All
not.
right. I'm kidding. All right, we'll figure it out, Terry. Well, let's say hi to a couple people that are tuned in. We want to get to Jared here quickly, but we've got some folks tuning in, checking in this morning. And Brian, I'm going to skip your first one because I see your second one there. Ramona says morning. I'm sure hope it isn't dead. Absolutely. Again, probably more tongue in cheek, get people to show up, right? Is Sublimation dead? So yeah, not to worry, everybody. calm down. And then Craig says, hey, from Boston. We've got Mo checking in this morning. And then Brian said, I moved over to my Facebook feed. Good morning again, everybody. Realistic replicas. Really cool stuff. He's doing a bunch of all over print stuff over there. So might want to check that out if you're interested in really cool sublimation. So Terry, we've got some people checking in, but they're probably, you think they're checking in for the dad joke?
I think they are, Aaron. I think, and since it was recommended by two different people, it must be a good one. I'm ready to hear it.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, here we go. Hey, Terry, I don't know if you knew this, but yeah, I just completed my first week at the bicycle factory.
Oh, really? How'd that go?
Yeah, they've already made me the spokesperson.
That's a pretty good one. If Eric were here on the screen, it would say spokesperson, one word, equals spokesperson, two words.
There you go. Yeah, we didn't have that banner happening, but yes, and so we want to do a special thanks and shout out to Marcia Derryberry from Screen Printing Magazine. She sent me that, and separately, this is why we said two people sent it separately. Like 3 or 4 days later, James Ortolani from Hicks also sent me that. So I guess we're kind of known for the dad joke thing.
I guess so.
Yeah. And then one last thing, Terry, I know we've had a lot of kind of housekeeping stuff before we get to the actual housekeeping stuff here. You and I had recorded a little, we couldn't talk about it because it was a surprise, but you and I had recorded a little happy birthday intro for Dot Tone Dan Campbell. And I got some pictures and videos from his wife, and she was so grateful and thankful, and it was really cool. So
I love it.
It was awesome to be a part of that. So we might get those shared on our social media page if I can ever get to that stuff too. So we'll see how.
Yeah, my kids did one of those for me for my birthday, and we were in fact in the Dominican Republic, and it was super cool.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. All right, well let's hit the housekeeping stuff so we can get to Jared here.
Yeah, before we dive in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We need your voices still. We would love to have the regulators participate in our show intros. Go to osg.link/intro, read a few sentences, be a part of every show. Don't be left out. We are always looking for new guests. If you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2, the number 2, regular guys, to book a future episode, or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. And we would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. If you're watching us live right now, please join in with your questions and your comments.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's get to our guest. If you are ready, Terry, let's get Jared in here.
Let's bring him in.
Now I got to push the right button. I was pushing the wrong buttons. Okay, let's try that again. Here we go. Let's welcome into the show Jared Barbosa from Heat Press Nation. Welcome, Jared.
Hey guys, thank you guys so much for having me. It's good to be here.
Awesome. Well, hey, welcome into the show. We used to do those kind of stuffy bios. We don't do that anymore. So give us a little background on you and your pathway into the industry.
Yeah, so you see, when a man loves a woman very much. Oh, not that far back. Sorry. Let me skip it forward a few years. Um, no, so I actually got my start in the industry I'm coming up on 10 years. Uh, to be honest, like I'd never heard of heat presses before. I needed a job, right? So I was freelancing as a graphic designer. Um, I had kind of settled into a little niche in the real estate industry in my area. So I was doing like real estate marketing with my cousin and stuff like that. But it just wasn't steady enough. And so I started dating this girl who is now my wife. Things were getting serious. And I was like, oh man, I can't get serious on this little freelance, economy over here. So so I just started looking around for a job. I found Heat Press Nation. It was literally my first interview. They were the first people to call me. My first interview, and I was like, all right, I'm in. Regular job full time, I'm in. And so that's kind of how I got in and
Nice.
in the customer service level, and I just really fell in love with it. Within like I would say about like 2 or 3 paychecks, I threw my paycheck back at the company. I bought my first heat press. I bought a vinyl cutter. A little while later, I would save up and buy my first sublimation printer. And since then, I've been running off and on like a side business. Well, not off and on, but like I've been running a side business doing like custom prints on the side while I've been growing here at Heat Press Nation. And then I got into the content creation side of things probably about 7 or 8 years ago. So not long after I joined the company, because again, I just really fell in love with being able to be creative, but make things. So like being able to be visually creative, but also physically like actually building things with my hands, making things. I just love it. I feel like it's just a really good fit for me. And so then I moved to tech support, to a few other roles, kind of hopped around the company a little bit, learning a little bit of everything. And then I've been in content creation now, yeah, like 7, 8 years. And that's been a blast. And so that's what I usually do here. I'm doing like our video tutorials,
Nice.
uh, mostly video content. I also host a few classes every week.
Nice.
We do free classes. So we have another instructor. She does 2 classes on Tuesdays, and I do 2 classes on Thursdays. And every class is different. We do like heat pressing, sublimation. We just did a new product on VersaFlex, which is like a new sublimation product. I'm sure we can talk about later. And then direct to film is probably my most popular class, and I
Awesome.
every week. And so yeah, so I'm really into the content creation and education over here, and it's a blast. I got to say, I have a great time.
There you go. There you go. Well, Ramon McKee says, "Love me, the Heat Press Nation." So that's you got a follower there. Yeah, love Ramona. And then I checked out your Tuesday's Best. Really cool. I enjoyed the
Thank
video
you.
content, and I have to say I'm on board with you. No more fat guy tax. I like that. In my multiple X shirt here. So you guys will have to go check out his Instagram page to figure out what I'm talking about there. But
yeah, okay, yeah. I was about to give it away, but then I thought,
go ahead.
Let's get some traffic over there.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good call. Let's do that. All right. Well, we do want to dive right in the deep end here. As we kind of alluded to at the beginning, I'm not sure it's been like a full-on statement, hey, sublimation is dead, but there's been no two ways around it. There's been lots of changes in the space. And I think a lot of attention being on DTF. Obviously, you mentioned that was your most popular class. So what's your take on this kind of underlying notion here?
Our industry moves in waves. I remember, and it's funny, earlier you made a comment about DTG, and I think that was backstage, right? And yeah, I remember because when I first joined in, vinyl was blowing up. We couldn't keep the cameo, the silhouette cameo on the shelf, right?
Yep.
Vinyl was absolutely having its day, still, and it's still around. Vinyl's not going anywhere either.
Yep.
And then we started seeing like, oh, DTG, once direct to garment hit, and I think it was like the 2100s or whatever it was, that was just everybody seemed to have one. All these content creators, were hyping it up, and everybody's getting these printers. And then that kind of, not fizzled out a little bit, but you see the wave kind of pass, and then the direct to film wave, I think, has just been probably the biggest. I don't have like hard data to back this up, but like just in my observation, the DTF wave is just gigantic.
Yeah,
it's huge, and so I think because the industry moves in waves, and I think it's kind of like our culture. Like a new anything comes out and everybody wants to say, "Oh, it killed the other thing," right? Like I think that's just kind of pop culture, and so when you look at these waves through kind of that like pop culture lens and or just that like just modern culture lens, it's like, oh well, if DTF is here, it must be killing everything else, and
Yeah.
I don't think other things have to die for something to have its big wave.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Heck, you could probably tell that story about back when DTG came out, Terry, you were going to kill screen printing and you still feel your screen printing classes. So.
Exactly. I taught a screen printing class last week in Chicago and got to spend the night in the airport with a canceled flight. But yeah, I've been hearing for 20 years screen printing is dead, and here we are.
Yeah.
Well,
Nice.
Yeah.
more and more technologies for decorating. You mentioned DTF, you mentioned sublimation. There's UV, obviously screen printing, all these different decoration methods. What do you think decorators should do to decide what's right for them?
Man, so my heat press hero, this guy Big Brando, great content creator, absolutely love the guy. He has this saying that he tells his people. He says, "You got to know who you want to sell to." He's focused on like the t-shirt market, right? That's like his thing.
Yeah.
And he says you got to know who you want to sell to. And to me, that really hit because I spent a few years in customer service here in sales at Heat Press Nation, and so get the calls all the time of people who they just wanted like, all right, I want to buy this. I'm like, okay, cool. What kind of business are you starting? Well, a t-shirt printing business. I'm like, okay, and they're wanting to buy like a certain set of equipment. I'm like, all right. And so what our job in sales and our sales team to this day still does is we try to engage in conversation just to make sure that what people have in their heads is actually what they have in their shopping cart.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think if someone's looking to start a new business, especially a new sublimation business, go check out our tutorials on our YouTube. Shameless plug, right? But there's so many tutorials on YouTube. Go have a field day, spend a few days on YouTube, and see what you could actually make. See what products are out there that you could actually produce and sell to your customers, and then go and find out. Do your research. Like what's the margin? What are people currently selling it for? Like what's the market price for something? And if you do all, if you were able to sell that, like how much are you going to make per piece? Like get into it. Get really do your due diligence. Get into the weeds. Is this going to be profitable for you? Is this something that you want to sell? Is this something that you think you can sell? And I think another piece of advice for someone starting off is like can you sell? The hardest part of running a custom business is making the sale.
Yeah.
So if you take a look at sublimation, you look at all the tutorials, you see the equipment, and you think, "Oh, dude, I could totally sell this." Then yes, give us a call. We'll get you connected with the equipment. But I think too many people look and they say, "Oh, I just want to start a printing business," and then they buy the equipment and they think that the sales knowledge kind of comes later. I think it's very important to take a really holistic approach. Look at everything you possibly can, especially if you're going to make a big investment into this business. So going back to the original question, like what should people do? Do your research.
Yeah.
Research. Like get to the point to where you're familiar with the product and the process, so that way it's a lot easier to make your sales. Because now once you get all the equipment, you know how to do it. Now you got to go communicate that to your customers. Tell them what you do. Tell them what you offer, and then go make the sales.
I love it. Our guest last week said, we decided to start a business. We rented a building for $4,000 a month. We bought the equipment and waited for the customers to come. And
Man.
guess what? They didn't.
Yeah. Yep. And we hear that story all the time too. I'm sure you have too, Jared. I mean, yeah, the people they get the toys, right? We love the toys, which is great, right? The Heat Press Nation are going to give you any toy that you want for the most part, right? And that's cool. But the reality is, like you said, do that research, build a business with a good foundation, and you're exactly right. Like sublimation is definitely my favorite decorating technique. Don't tell the other techniques; they'll get mad at me. But but at the same time, when I was having conversations with people and they're like, yeah, I'm just going to do apparel, so I'm going to buy the sublimation machine. It's like, hold on a second. If you're just doing apparel, is that really the right tool for you? Right. And again, I'd love to have people sublimation because I think it's great. But if you're just trying to do apparel, you're going to be pretty limited. Not that you can't do it, not that there's not ways around that, but at the same time, there might be better tools. So I love that. Great.
Yeah,
And you don't have to
100%.
pick just one. You can
Yeah,
be more than a sublimation decorator or a screen printer or whatever. But don't try to do them all at once because I don't know how many times
yes.
I've had people come up to me at a trade show and say, "Hey, I want to buy this DTG printer. I just bought screen printing equipment over there. I bought an embroidery machine. I bought a this. I bought that." I'm like, wait. Do you know how to use any of these? Well, no, not yet.
Yeah.
You need to kind of put the brakes on just a little bit. Let's learn one and then add another one.
Yeah, our accountant hated me when I was back in sales because people would call in trying to purchase these big packages with different methods, and I would usually be like, "Hey, you probably want to focus on one first. Like this is a big learning curve. You're wanting to do this, and this. I want to start with one and just make sure that works." And I never quite got in trouble for it, but I got a side eye.
Absolutely.
Talking people talking people down from a $20,000 sale to like a $9,000 sale. But
yeah, but you did right by them, and they probably came back and ended up spending more than that original amount would have been. So I think that's
what I tell myself. That's what I tell
All
my
right,
boss. No.
You've been there long enough. Go look it up. You could. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So Jared, so we're kind of thinking. Okay, I want to get back into sublimation here a little bit, though, right? So let's say somebody is thinking about sublimation, or maybe they did kind of buy into this. Well, it's kind of dead, and I let my sublimation printer sit or whatever. Like, in your opinion, what makes sublimation a strong option for folks?
Oh man, I think just the variety of things that you could do truly on demand is incredible.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, if people who know you guys and follow you guys probably they know coffee mugs. We all know sublimation coffee mugs, right?
Sure. Yep.
And I think if you're in the industry, you're probably sick of coffee mugs. But if you're new, or if you're a customer who doesn't know anything about the industry, like you see a custom coffee mug and you're like, whoa. And I think that wow factor of being able to from print to finished press is just a few minutes.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty amazing about sublimation. I think there's just so many like incredible aspects to that make it like one of a kind.
Yeah.
In business, and then just the quality as well, because you're literally dyeing the surface of your substrate.
Yeah.
That cannot be replicated. In my classes I tell people all the time, like when it comes to feel, right? If you're talking about just how soft is a transfer on a t-shirt, sublimation cannot be beat.
Yep.
I guess. Well, actually, Terry, you could probably correct me. I'm sure there's some like water-based screen printings that'll get you there. But
it's still on top of it, though. I mean,
right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
it doesn't have that permanence of a sublimation print as well. So.
Yeah. So that it's the softest, most durable transfer. Period. Of course. Then we talk about like garment limitation. But on a feel standpoint, above the rest, I have my mouse pad here, right? Like this, my hand's on it all the time, and it's not going anywhere. Yeah, right? It's not going anywhere. And so just that level of feel and permanence that it cannot be touched. And I mean, I'm in the desktop sublimation world, so we don't carry like the big like 5-foot printers here. But in the desktop world, you're still getting it at a price point that is super cheap, especially compared to direct to film, direct to garment, other printing methods.
Sure.
I mean, sublimation, you can get a desktop sublimation printer like a Sawgrass for I think like $500-600.
Yeah.
You could make these all day mugs. Like what you're able to produce in that price point, it's so huge. Like the variety is there, so it really comes down to what are you able to sell? What do you think you can turn a profit on with your customer base? And I think sublimation is untouchable to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Terry was mentioning how people run multiple prints. I think sublimation is such an amazing complementary print process, no matter what you have.
I love that.
Like you could be screen, whatever it is that you're doing.
Yep.
I think there's always room for sublimation. Customers are always going to want promotional products.
Yeah.
I love sublimation, and so it's never going to die. I'll say that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as far as mugs go, I could never get tired of mugs because they make money. I mean, they're just money makers, you know. So,
I'm at
They
that
do,
point
man.
where if I bring a mug in, I have to get rid of a mug. So
well, you need a new
I
one.
have been. I live in a really tiny apartment, right? With my wife, my son. I am banned from bringing things home from work. There's an official. I've been sanctioned. There are embargoes.
No
I
more.
cannot bring home any new T-shirts. For me, it's T-shirts and mugs.
Yep, yep.
Um, so I'll try to find a loophole and bring home a tumbler. No. That's a mug. To my
That's
wife, it's a mug. They're all
yeah.
mugs.
Don't tell your
So
wife about drinkware; she'll just ban the whole lot, right? I
yeah.
love it. I love it. All right. Hey, you guys, let's take it. Let's take a quick breather here. We need to get some information to our listeners about our sponsor, Promo Hunt, and so let's hear a word from them real quick, and then we got way more to talk to Jared about here. So we'll be right back.
If you sell decorated apparel, then you're constantly on supplier websites like Sanmar, Alpha Broder, and SNS Activewear, comparing prices and checking inventory. Stop wasting time comparing prices the hard way. Just install Promo Hunt's free browser extension. Then, when you're on a supplier website, Promo Hunt will automatically compare your prices with all your suppliers and will let you know if you can save. With Promo Hunt, you'll always be just one click away from seeing all your prices and inventory in one screen. Promo Hunt shows other helpful information too, like similar product ideas, supplier phone numbers, preferred pricing, and coupons on thousands of supplier websites. Promo Hunt saves you time and money, helping you quickly find and buy great products at competitive prices. The best part is that Promo Hunt is completely free. Join 7,000 decorators and distributors that use Promo Hunt every day to save time and money. Visit promohunt.com and sign up in less than 60 seconds.
All right, you guys. Well, make sure you check that out, promohunt.com/apparel, and let them know you heard about them through the Two Regular Guys. Super cool tool. It's even if you're not, like, I know Promo Hunt sometimes gets people, but for apparel decorators, I mean, it's unbelievably powerful. So,
how is it free?
and it's free. That's right. That's right. All right, Terry. Well, let's keep going with Jared here. This has been great. We've been getting some great information already. But what's another question you got for Jared, Terry?
Well, Jared, decades ago, I used to screen print sublimation transfers. The first time trucker hats were really, really popular, which would have been in the 80s. And I'm sure a lot of people go, wait, you could screen print sublimation transfers? You can. But the problem was they were all gray. So you had to write on there what color you printed.
Oh,
But
that's
anyway,
crazy.
so Jared, from your perspective, what's changed most in sublimation equipment over the years?
So I'm coming up on 10 years in the industry, and when I started, it was the SG 400, 800, and now it's the 500, 1000. So it's not a lot. I think I would say if you look at like the core of the process, you're heating up the inks, the ink turns into a gas dye, and then you smash it into your substrate, right? That is the essence of sublimation. I think the equipment has been pretty standard. One thing, there's a few things that have been interesting though, as far as like changes are concerned, like in equipment wise. I like that it's becoming more accessible. Sublimation is, we're seeing, new printer companies pop up, more affordable, like A4 size printers. Are a few of them are kind of popping up. And you have companies like Artistry putting out like sublimation, like markers and
Mhm.
stuff like that. At Heat Press Nation, we sell, and I know we're not the only ones, but like we sell sublimation transfer. So even if you don't have a printer, you can still
Oh, wow.
order a sublimation transfer. We'll ship it to you. So I think the accessibility of sublimation has been really exciting to see. Um, who I think Cricket. We don't sell Cricket, so I'm giving them free press. But like Cricket has their like infusible ink, which is just sublimation stuff, basically. So I think seeing sublimation become so much more accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
It's really exciting because not everybody who tries it is gonna go forward, but there is a percentage of people who they find it, they fall in love, and now they're hooked, right? And now they're starting their businesses. Like me, like I'm not the only person who's ever worked at Heat Press Nation, but I'm among a handful who right when I got connected with the equipment, I was just sold.
Yeah.
Like it I connected with this process, being able to combine these different creative, methods.
Yeah.
So I think being able to spread the net a little bit wider, making sublimation more accessible, I think that's awesome. I'm all for that. Um, I'm a big fan of that. The other thing, that like, and again, I'm in the desktop space, so maybe there have been some big changes in ultra, like very wide format that I'm not aware of. But I think the biggest change that I've seen has actually been pretty recent. Uh, Versaflex from Sawgrass. So I guess to backtrack. So over the years, I have seen the attempts to get your sublimation printer to be more than sublimation. Like everybody wants to sublimate on cotton, and so we saw Easy Subli launch a few years ago, probably like 5 years ago at least now. We saw the Easy Subli launch. I know Forever has some products, which I love. Like they have, like, I think it's a Subliflex 202. So you have these print and cut vinyls for sublimation printers. You have like different products. Everybody's trying to get their sublimation printer to do a little bit more than sublimation, and so it's been really cool. Versaflex just launched, and you can do weedless transfers. I wish I should have got a sample. I'm dumb. You could do weedless transfers on light cotton garments, and they look and feel great. Like I was very impressed with the finished product because so far it's the first one. Now it's not perfect. It's a new product. It's still, you know, I get we're on version 1. So it's not perfect, but it is cool, and to me it's so exciting to see new tech being developed.
Yeah.
New products being developed, new life kind of being breathed back into sublimation. Um, not to do like an infomercial on Versaflex, but like it's sublimation, right? But it's also weedless like self-weeding transfers on cotton garments, and then you could do stuff like uncoated wood. So like we just went to Michael's, picked up some like $2 little wood signs, and printed on those, and I think that's kind of going back to accessible. Like
Yeah.
now that people can have something where they could go to Michael, pick up a little $2 wood sign, and print, a birthday cake topper or something like that on there. Just getting people to create, getting people to make stuff. I
Yeah.
think that's going to be the key in bringing new, fresh life into the industry, into sublimation, and as long as there's companies like innovating and introducing new products, and getting more people to create, and making creativity and creative processes more accessible, I think there's always going to be fresh blood coming in. We're always going to have new creators, and sublimation cannot die.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Well, and the other thing is, you guys, obviously we're talking about the equipment and stuff like this, but you guys also offer these different kinds of blanks. Because I've actually ordered mugs from you guys, so I know this to be true. But I mean, that's also, I mean, what are you seeing anything in that realm as far as the substrates or the surfaces to print onto?
Yeah, so there's new stuff coming out all the time. I remember when we first got wind spinners, I was like, "What? This is so rad!" Like I'd never seen it before.
That's cool.
And I'm sure you guys probably have more info on like the laser industry. We don't carry laser products, but what we're seeing is like people are, as not big companies start to explore and offer custom sublimation blanks, it just kind of triggers the big companies to offer bigger varieties. And so
Yeah.
what I think is really cool is customers are ordering sheet stock of pre-coated sublimation blank sheet stock, like from Unisub or Chromolux. And then with their lasers, they're cutting it into custom shapes to then sublimate and imprint. And that is so cool. And again, I think as users get to just express their creativity more and more, we're going to start seeing, of course, small market first, and then we're going to start seeing larger market adoption. One of our influencer partners, Crafting by Myra, she custom cuts these like acrylic paper clips. I think it's her. Sorry, Myra, if it's not you. But she custom cuts these like acrylic paper clips and then sublimates them. Dude, it's the coolest thing. And so I think as laser becomes more popular, it's going to come back and it's going to complement the sublimation industry.
Yeah.
And then again, we're going to see just this kind of like fresh life of, oh, wait, I can combine these two, and I could mix this, and I can have a custom sublimation blank that nobody's seen yet. I think that's what's really, really exciting. But then you have your standard products like coffee mugs, awards plaques, The aluminum photo panels, like the Chromolux panels. I got to visit the Unisub factory last summer. Oh, it was mind blowing. It was so cool, and seeing their production, because we got to see their production line. I was like, oh, Sublimation's not dead, not a chance.
Yes.
They have these huge machines, huge factory, and I'm like, oh yeah, Sublimation's not dead. Yeah,
I'm picturing you
we're
running
fine.
around there like you've just gone to Santa's workshop.
Oh my, yes, yes. Santa's extremely loud workshop.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's right. All those planers and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. That's an impressive place. Um, cool. I think that's, like you said, the substrates, but then the creativity where it's like, okay, well, there isn't that thing, but I want that paperclip like you talked about. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it makes for I bet you that makes for lots of different things, like a cool bookmark or whatever. Like, um, I think the only limitation is your creativity, and so I love that. That's a big part of
100%.
sublimation, is that creativity piece. Yeah, Ramona says, "Make your own shapes to print." Yepper, yep. There you go.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then Doug Sobel said, "Yeah, I think this is kind of like, it would be awesome if." I think there's a lot of barriers to this yet, and I know some people are certainly working on this. But yes, he says, "I'd love to see someone develop a process that has a color of DTF with being able to use any color fabric and any type from cotton to poly, and but with the feel of dye sub, right? Like, yeah, so that would be ideal, but."
Doug, that
I'd say
sounds
it's
a
all.
little bit like that customer that comes to us and says, "I want a printer that does everything."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, until somebody figures out a better way of white ink and adhering to cotton, right? Like, with dye sub, you have to have poly, because the fact that you can't feel it is because it actually becomes part of the polyester. It's not on
Yeah.
top, and you can't make something part of cotton. So anyhow, um, so I guess, Jared, I'd love for you to, 10 years in, that's awesome. You got a great background there. You actually came in at the perfect time too, because right before you were in, right before the SG 400 and that kind of era, the big change was how much more um, just stable the platform became. How,
Mm.
there was all sorts of head clogging and issues and things like that, 15 years ago. And so I'm glad to see that, they're looking at innovation, but they haven't had to worry about continuing, because those SG systems, you can have them sit there and they they do just fine. You don't have the head clogging like you used
Yeah.
to.
The little workhorses, man. We love our SGs out here.
Perfect. All right. Well, I want to ask you what, just if you could, make anything happen, or what are you, maybe just based on the fact that you guys are involved in the process and talking to decorators and influencers and people like that every day, where do you see sublimation kind of heading, and what product, maybe markets or avenues are still growing?
Man, so I I think what has been interesting, what I've seen in like sublimation products that end up in customers' hands, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of like automations, like digital things, like, okay, Etsy. $10 billion of commerce on Etsy last year, 2024, right?
Uh-huh.
And I don't have the hard data to see how much of that was Printful, but all you have to do is just go through the listings, and you'll see that Printful is actually handling a lot of that, a chunk of that. You have these listings of digital products, things that people haven't actually made themselves. And I'm not knocking it. Like, make your
Yeah.
money, right?
Yep.
Not knocking like the POD. No, I'm not knocking any of that. But I think what we're seeing, because POD is so accessible, and because you can integrate it through sites like Printful into Etsy, right? It kind of floods the market with digital products, things that you can just see. It's a digital mock-up. It's so what's happening is that a level of impersonality has kind of become the norm now. You go
Yep.
on Etsy where it's supposed to be all handmade products, and you're seeing mostly digital mock-ups. And even if a customer doesn't really notice at first, after a while you can kind of you just get it.
Yep.
That image just kind of brings back, oh, that I recognize this style of product. And so what I think it's doing is it is saturated the market a little bit with just digital, right? Not something, especially when it comes to like the product photos, not something that someone actually made. And so I think what that's doing is it's creating a demand. It's slowly creating a demand to go back to handmade. to go back to a one-on-one customer experience where instead of just click, click, click ends up at my door, I think as we start to see that everywhere now, people are going to start to crave a personal experience. They're going to want to see your face on your social media. Like they're going to want to know who they're buying from.
Yeah.
They're going to want to feel like they can relate to who they're purchasing from. They're going to want to buy from a person rather than just a faceless entity.
Yeah.
And so I think that presents a really great opportunity for sublimation for pretty much anybody with a heat press, right? Because if you have a heat press, you're doing it yourself, right? I think it's creating an opportunity for creators and makers and entrepreneurs to kind of reintroduce that personal connection as however possible. Especially with AI, everything is AI, and I'm starting to see AI being used. And I'm not against it. I'm cautious. I'm not totally against AI, but I think as AI becomes more accessible, it's going to be so easy for people to promote products with just a few clicks with a prompt. And what's going to happen is everybody on the receiving end, all of us are going to get so tired of scrolling through and seeing, you know, fake things, digitally produced things that when something real pops up, it's going to be like, I want that.
Yeah.
And so I think I feel that's where the future of sublimation and entrepreneurs and heat press businesses is going. Is users are going to have to capitalize on the humanity of what they do, and we're seeing it already. Like people are still, everybody said that social media was hyper saturated with content creators in our space. Dude, there's new ones popping up all the time, getting big hits, still growing their accounts because people want to see a person.
Yep.
People want to do business with people.
Yep. I love it. That's so true. I actually was reading an article this morning where it talked about kind of AI and how that's changing everything and going away from that personal touch. And like you said, people are going to start craving that authentic, real person, like face to face. Actually getting face to face is going to become this really valuable commodity. And like you said, having a person there, having that actual, this is my hands making this thing, that's going to be a valuable commodity here soon.
And even then, I had somebody we were doing a demo for them here in Phoenix and Tempe, and she was talking about one of the Etsy sellers, and she pulls them up, and you can see her pulling a shirt off a heat press, and she goes, "Yeah, she never sees this product. I decorate it all, I ship it. All she does is take the order." So some people are faking it out there.
Yeah. That'll come out after.
I could have one. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Jared. Go ahead.
I say if I can have one more thing, I think I really do not want to get political, but I think one thing that we are seeing also is people are starting to value made in America.
Mm-hmm.
There's an increase in people who are, if anything, it's bringing a little bit more attention to, I kind of do want to shop from my neighbor. And so I think, even if you are importing your blanks, you could still say printed in America.
Absolutely.
Even if, you can still say printed in the USA. Now, if you're using something like, I think Unisub Chromolux, those are actually blanks made in the USA.
Yep.
So you could say totally made in the USA if you're using those. But even if you're importing your blanks, you could still say proudly printed in the USA.
You can. Yep.
And I think that's something that heat pressers in the States anyways, I don't see enough of them taking advantage of that.
I agree.
I think that's a real hot commodity. That's a that commands a premium price, proudly printed in the USA. And I think that's another thing where in the future of sublimation in the USA, I think we're going to see a lot more people leaning into that and being able to benefit from that kind of kicked up desire for purchasing USA.
Yeah, I love that. What a great share, Jared. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, I talk to people about that all the time, and that perceived value, right? We think people are buying this thing, but what they're really buying is, like you said, a feeling, a made in the USA, pride, the customization, the personalization. So love that. Cool. All right, Terry, what else we got for Jared here?
Well, that was a great answer to my next question, but let's see if you have another. So we'd like to wrap up our interviews with what's one piece of advice you'd give to a decorator trying to figure out the best path forward for their business right now. So one golden gem of advice you'd give somebody.
Man, I have to say, I'm about to steal this gem from my buddy Big Brando. It's just such a good piece of advice. Know who you want to sell to. That's his big thing. And I hope he doesn't mind me just absolutely ripping him off and repeating that here. Just know who
You
you want
dropped
to
his
sell
name
to.
twice, so that's not ripping off.
Yeah. So, you know, if you know who you want to sell to, you're just going to have a better, ground to start on. Because one thing, if I could add to that, I'd say follow the money. Know who you want to sell to. That's going to give you your best shot. If you have kind of a customer in mind, you have a product in mind that you want to sell to, figure out who's going to buy that product, but then be prepared to follow the money. Because for me, when I got my sublimation printer, I thought I was going to do single coffee mugs to just people. I thought everybody's going to want to see their kid's face on a coffee mug, right? And in my area, I was very rude. But then what happened was, I got to connect with my network. My dad's a pastor. I'm actually a minister.
Nice.
I wasn't at the time, but you know, a pastor friend of my dad's reached out to me and he says, "Hey, your dad says you make coffee mugs." And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he says, "Hey, we need some for our church." And then like the little light bulb went off in my head.
I
And
can
so
actually
I
see it.
pivoted. I pivoted to selling mugs by the case. So I got on my Google Sheets. I figured out
Yep.
how much I could, like, my best price by the case. And so instead of pushing individual custom mugs, I started pushing mugs by the case to first all my dad's friends, his pastor friends, but then just different houses of worship in the area. And for a little while, that ended up being pretty lucrative for me.
Nice.
And
Good
then
for
I
you.
loved it because instead of fulfilling 40 orders to 40 different people and 40 shipping labels and all that, it was like, hey, here's 3 cases. Go drive it to this church, and then the profit margin on 3 cases is nice.
Yeah,
So
that's
know
awesome.
who you want to sell to. It'll give you your best shot to start, and then just follow the money.
Ah, what a great
Well,
piece of advice, Jared.
my dad was a minister as well. A lot of coffee drinkers. So
I love it. Jared, this has been fantastic. How can people connect with you and learn a little bit more about Heat Press Nation?
Sure. So heatpressnation.com, we carry, in addition to sublimation, we have like white toner, direct to film. Of course, we have, and proud to say this, the biggest selection of professional heat presses in the USA. So we carry all the major brands, Stalls, Stalls Hotronics, Hicks, Geo9, all those guys, Insta. They always get mad if I forget one. Uh, Pretty sure that's it. And
It
then we
sounds like
carry
you
our
got
own
them all.
brands. Yeah, so right behind me, my favorite heat press right now. We launched this at the end of last year. It's the TrueSpec 1620. It goes toe to toe with all of the big premium brands, and we're super proud to have this one. But I mean, we have everything. We have like $300-$400 presses all the way to. I'll sell you a $10,000 heat press if you want to, if
All
anybody's
right.
curious. But
Yeah.
we have a huge variety, and we're really proud of that. We're also really proud of our customer rating. If you go on Google and Facebook, you'll see we have like a 4.6 and 4.8 rating on those sites.
Nice.
Just after, like, I think combined we're pushing 5,000 reviews. We're close. We're not to 5,000 yet. But yeah, customer service is a big deal for us. So if you're looking for a supplier that has your best interest in mind, yeah, Heat Press Nation, we would love the opportunity for your business. But we have tons of free tutorials on YouTube, our YouTube channel. We're Heat Press Nation on all socials, but we're mostly active on YouTube and Instagram. Instagram, you can see our reels, and we partner with a lot of our users to share their content on our page as well, so you can see
Cool.
like what other people are making, not just what I'm cooking up here at HPN. So those are great ways to connect. I don't know if I added this link, but if you're curious as to what I make, because I do stuff on the side too, like if you just whatever, Tuesdays Best. So it's Tuesdays plural best.com, and that's just my little side project. If you're curious, like, what does this guy actually do? What does he know? Yeah, or right there on Instagram, Tuesdays Best. You can follow me there.
Yep.
My personal, it's funny. I don't know if you guys are like this. My personal Instagram, I try to keep it heat press free. Like, I just don't know why, because I live and breathe heat press content,
Yeah.
videos, and all that stuff. So on my personal Instagram, you're not going to find any really any heat pressed up there. It's
All
gonna be
right.
because of my kids. So
Well, I enjoyed your Instagram for sure. So people need to get over there and check that out and check
thank you.
out what you're doing over there. I want to share one other link that you shared with us too. So you put together a sublimation video playlist for us, and really appreciate that, or not for us, but so we could share with the listeners here. So thank you so much for all of this. This has been fantastic. Jared, hopefully we will get to meet you face to face someday. But are you guys doing any
Yes.
trade shows or anything like that?
So we don't exhibit at the trade shows, but we go and we tour them. We usually are at like Long Beach, Printing United. It's mainly those two, the
Okay.
big two.
Yep.
But next year we're hoping to maybe add like a third or fourth stop, just because it's so cool to be able to go to those. But
Absolutely.
yeah, if you guys are in Long Beach, we'll for sure be at that one.
All right, sounds good. And if you happen to get out to Orlando this year, make sure you find us, and we'll catch you out there. All right, Jared, thank
For
you.
sure.
Appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks. Awesome.
Cool, man. That was awesome, Terry.
Really good.
Yeah, and you know me, I love talking sublimation. So
Oh, I know. I know you were holding back.
Yes, I definitely. Hey, sharing such good information. I didn't really need to jump in. So really good stuff. Terry,
Well,
you are.
you love hearing somebody's passionate about what they do, and he walked in the door and said, "This is awesome." And 10 years later, he still has that enthusiasm,
He
So I
does. That
love
was awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was great. And yeah, we love seeing that because, 10 years in, that's to us, that's a little bit light, right? But, that's, he's put in the work. So good on him.
Dating this girl, married her, one job interview, took it.
So cool. I love the story. Love the story. Yeah. So grateful that we got to talk to Jared today. Terry, you've got some things coming up here potentially, right? They're going to keep you at any airports anytime soon?
Exactly. Last week I was in Chicago at Atlas Screen Supply. Canceled flights everywhere. They did give me a hotel room. I was in it for 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Oh my God.
And then back to the airport.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I got a hotel room to shower in. My next class there in Chicago won't be until the fall. I'll be at Atlas Screen Supply September 6th and 7th for my complete screen printed business course. Next week on Monday, I'm hosting an Equipment Zone webinar, the Epson F1070. Boosting business with your F1070. And I'm going to be interviewing some real decorators. That's June 16th at 1 o'clock Eastern. Register at equipmentzone.com. And all my upcoming events are at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah. So first thing that I wanted to share is Small Business Saturday has been on hiatus for about a month. And so I am bringing it back. We're finally ready to bring it back. I got my feet back underneath me here after everything that's been going on and changing. And so this Saturday, tomorrow, for those of you that are tuned in live, but you'll start hearing this every Saturday at noon. We're going to discuss the question, is your inner voice helping or hurting your business? So I wanted to share some practical tips to kind of how do we, that inner critic that we've got going on, right? Is that an inner critic or an inner coach? And I think if we really kind of deeply ponder that a little bit, there's some practical ways that we can reset the system, so to speak, and then figure out how we can take aligned action from that new system reset. So if that's something that's interesting to you, come on over and check it out tomorrow at noon Central Time. You can go to liveosg.com, which will take us to the YouTube channel for OSG. And then you can also find it at our Success Group's Facebook page. So look for links across the Facebook. I'll be promoting that later today.
Aaron, my inner voice just said, wait, he can hear me too.
That's right. I can, Terry. And then next week, I will be at the Graphics Pro Expo in Indianapolis, and I'm going to be teaching Marketing Better in 2025. That'll be happening on Saturday of the expo at 8:30 in the morning. So bring your coffee. We'll be having a good time. So we'll keep everybody awake and rolling on the last day of the show there. So my goal is to pack the session with practical tips that will help you clarify your message, stand out in a noisy world, and connect authentically with your ideal customers. So the cool part about Graphics Pro is once you pay for the attendance on the show floor, the education is free. and the attendance on the show floor is really cheap. But you can get it even cheaper if you go to graphics-pro-expo.com and use the code APAS25IN. And that's going to get you 50% off, actually even more than 50% off, I think now. I think the price right now is $19.95 and you get it for $4.95. So for $5, you get the show floor, you get all the education free. Come on over and check that out here this next week. Terry, little update on Eric.
Yeah, he's still getting relocated and settled. He is in Pennsylvania as we speak. So hold tight, all you take up viewers. Eric's internet is being set up in the next hour or so. So he's going to be back with us, and he'll be back with us next Friday. And we will look forward to seeing Eric.
Yeah, we've missed him, and I kind of almost feel like he said, "Oh yeah, let's push that install back. I need one more week of not having to put up with the dad jokes."
But we still have time for a secret sauce, Aaron. And
let's do it.
You're bringing the sauce today.
Let's do it. Let's get in on that. Let me hit the right button here, and here we go. All right. Well, happy Friday, you guys. As I said earlier, non-triskaidekaphobia day for those of you that are tuned in live. But the sauce today is very particular. And if you're a new business or not, sometimes we just need to go back to the basics and make sure we're building on a solid foundation. So I actually recently asked inside of the Entrepreneur Success Hub, which is our Success Group's Facebook page, our group, share with us one thing that you did early on in your business that either makes you laugh or cringe now. And there were some great comments in there, but there were two of them that really stood out to me, plus one more that I want to add into the mix that was mine. That just give you these three common missteps that business owners make. And then most importantly, though, leave you with what my opinion is on what you could do instead. So number one, and trying to be the cheapest. So rockstar business owner Becky Breeding shared that when starting out, she tried to be the cheapest so she could get more business. But when trying to be the cheapest, we've just made price the lowest common denominator. And someone is always willing to do it cheaper until they run out of business, right? And so if you're trying to play that game, at what point do you run out of business, right? Do you not have enough money to pay the bills anymore? So fortunately, Becky prevailed and now understands her value. But many new decorators do underprice themselves and honestly undervalue themselves and their service. Heck, many longtime decorators probably undervalue themselves a little bit and have just made it work, right? So to avoid this trap, whether you're a new business owner or someone who's just struggling to make a profit, the first key is to really know your numbers. How much does it cost you to just be in business, right? Until you know how much it costs you to be in business, you'll never know how much you actually need to charge. Not how much some other business is charging, because their business is unique. So once you have that number, then you can start pricing for profit, not desperation. People aren't buying a thing, right? They're buying your expertise, the service, your reliability. They're buying a solution to a problem or an opportunity to fill a need. And that has real value outside of just, am I the cheapest price? Okay, so that's number one. Number two is falling for the exposure trap. I mean, let me explain that. Another amazing business owner over there, Frank Dunn from the UK, he shared a classic one. He said he used to believe people who came in with lines like, hey, you're going to do this for free or a really cheap discount, and I'm going to get you all of this exposure, right? And so he just give them a discount or even work for free. And while that sounds flattering at first, you think, oh man, if I hook them up, they're going to tell everybody this could be my big break. This is going to be awesome. But here's the truth. Exposure is not a form of payment, right? It's a hope-based marketing gamble. And most of the time, you're the only one holding the risk. And it's not just about money, right? Doing work at a discount for vague exposure often leads to the wrong kind of exposure, right? Maybe you're going to get low value clients who never refer you anyways, or they send rush jobs your way with no boundaries, or worst of all, they are basically teaching other people to undervalue your business, right? They're going to say, oh, well, I got it for free. You should ask them for a discount, right? But every day as a business owner, somebody is going to come to you with a story. It's just the way that it works. And so from that place, right, lots of promises and offering you the world. So my suggestion is flip the conversation. Thank them for the opportunity and then start asking them lots of questions, right? Who's your audience? Can we agree to maybe some sort of thing up front? Give me a testimonial first. Referral arrangements in writing, right? Once you start getting into actual holding people accountable, all of a sudden the story starts changing. Something where once you get exposure, then you get discounts, right? Maybe you flip the script that way and say, hey, how about you buy at regular price? And then when these people start buying, I will give you a commission or a referral, right? Real customer interactions are actually partnerships. They're not favors or empty promises. So real opportunities do come with mutual respect, and saying no to the wrong deal creates space for the right one. So all those great stories, yes, they might be great at face value, but make sure that it's a partnership. All right. And then number 3, this is my opinion is the biggest one, and one that I challenged myself with early on, skipping the business plan. And I see it all the time. I've been there and even have days now when this business plan thing is like my flag to carry. I know that there are times when my business plan needs attention, but I always realize that the struggles are directly related to not having an up-to-date roadmap. People dive into business and never stop to answer some of the big questions. They don't slow down long enough to gain more clarity and direction. They just keep shooting arrows into the dark because they're too busy for a business plan. So you don't need a 30-page binder or a coffee table book, beautiful business plan, right? What you need is a simple, focused plan that you actually work from, you refer to it regularly, and you keep it up to date. It's a living, breathing part of your business. So start with something that just aligns your strengths, values, and passions with why you started your business, which can give you a clear path forward. If you need help with that, take my free assessment over there at osg.link/SVP. But if you'll head over to our Facebook group after this, I will put in what I believe are the 5 most important things that need to go into a business plan. And so you can get all that. But those are just the 5 most important things. There's plenty of things that you could add. And the fact that you just took some time to think about those 5 things and document, that can make a huge difference for you. I'm actually in the process of planning a business plan, right? That's a lot of planning in one word, one sentence, but I'm actually in the process of planning a business planning workshop for July. So again, make sure you're part of the Entrepreneur Success Hub, the OSG Facebook group, which you can find at osg.link/group. And that way you'll be notified of details of the workshop, and there's going to be a free webinar and then paid workshops on top of that, just as I do all my quarterly workshops. So make sure you come join the conversation, avoid the mistakes that we've already made. And so make sure you're pricing with confidence, saying no to fake exposure, and building your business on a real plan. You guys have got this, and we're looking forward to seeing you over there in the Our Success Group Facebook page. All right. Oh, you're on mute there, Terry. I missed the opportunity there, but
And I always think, I'll remember to turn my microphone back on. I just said awesome. That was great information. So
awesome. And then I like Doug's comment here. Everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face. Iron Mike Tyson. And that's exactly it, right? Like,
you know what? I just heard someone say that like 2 days ago.
There you go. Well, but it's true. And that's why I say that it's a living, breathing document. It's not just this one and done. You've thought about it and you go, oh, cool. Check the box, right? This is how you should operate.
You have to do one of these.
Yeah.
It's
totally. All right. Yeah, definitely. Well, we've come to close another show. We want to thank Jared Barbosa of Heat Press Nation. Also want to give them a special shout out on top of all the great comments and stuff we got from Ramona and whatnot. They were a huge supporter of SkillsUSA in the past, Terry. So I just, from a personal standpoint, I want to thank Heat Press Nation. I'm glad we were able to get them on the show, but just in general, their support of the industry and people coming up, the SkillsUSA and other programs like that. So
All right. Whether you're here or not, we always thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for everything that he does for us, and look forward to seeing you here next week, Eric.
Yep, absolutely. And congratulations on getting that move completed. Hopefully it's smooth sailing from here, but you never know, right? So we will look forward to seeing Eric. And yes, thank him for all his support and help over time. Next week, Terry, we've got Adrian Palmer is going to be back with us discussing fabric. It's an executive coaching for print shop owners program, and she's newly part of that. So we're excited to hear about this venture and what that's all about, but then also be able to bring you guys some really great tips that maybe they're sharing with the people that they're coaching too. So
yeah,
looking forward to hearing that.
Super to have Adrian back on the show again as well. So
yep, absolutely.
All right. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.